Which video game would you consider a piece of art and why? Mother 3. Despite its graphics, which did add charm to it, it still conveyed an amazing story with a lot of good themes. It felt like I was playing a game for literature class. Okami. The game is based around art, but it's also a masterpiece how each character is drawn. The environments resemble Japanese paintings. It's Shadow of the Colossus. Hollow Knight. Ori and the Blind Forest. Absolutely beautiful platformers with phenomenal soundtracks. Papers, Please. The most fun game about paperwork ever with a rich story. All of them. Doom 2016. The music, tension, story and gameplay meld together so well into what I think ranks in my top games of all time. The starting sequence itself, from getting straight into the action to the amazing transition into the logos, is truly awesome. Journey, the interface and the multiplayer aspect are done so beautifully that it doesn't get in the way of the gameplay or aesthetics. Firewatch. The whole game looks like a beautiful painting. It's as good as walking simulators can get. Red Dead Redemption 2 was the most impressive, immersive and intricate game I've ever played. The world, the characters, the story, everything just tied together so beautifully. Celeste. Beautiful graphics and a relevant commentary. Smooth but simple gameplay. Difficult but not excessively so. If not my favorite game I've played, definitely one of the most well-made. Bastion. The excellent soundtrack really sets an amazing atmosphere, combined with the story and artwork it is a special experience. Emo. Breath of the Wild. Pokémon Mystery Dungeon. Explorers of Time, Darkness, Sky. It made me cry over a fucking Vulpix. It deserves to be here. Dark Souls. Any of them, even the second one. The oppressive atmosphere, the feel of a kingdom long lost and in ruins, the overwhelming adversity that makes you feel like an ant about to be crushed by the boots of an army. The lack of music in the majority of gameplay. The titanic boss fights, except Pinwheel lol, that kick your ass around the arena for hours, sometimes days, before you finally figure out how to beat them and feel on top of the world. I could go on. The Last of Us, because of the storytelling and gameplay. Mass Effect. Just a brilliant series all around. Red Dead Redemption 2. Minecraft. Flower from That Game Company was in the Smithsonian. Dragon Age. SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle of Bikini Bottom. Undertale. I know of no other game that has evoked as much emotion in me through its gameplay, story, characters and music. And those emotions come from the whole spectrum as well: sadness, joy, anger, horror, etc. If we are talking about art direction rather than just good games. I really liked how it really encourages you to carefully look around and find symbols and shapes hidden all around you, like even when you think you are off the path you find something that reminds you it is part of some grand design. Without words or text, the game guides you to its objectives and goals. And ultimately you look for solutions in everything: light, sounds, nature, perspectives. I consider that art. Edit. The Talos principle is amazing as well. Team Fortress 2, the gameplay, the weapons, the cosmetics, and the characters make it one of the best games I've ever played. Skyrim. It stands up no matter the platform, and emo rocked the standard of Elder Scrolls games. The scenery was beautiful without mods, the gameplay fantastic, and the immersive aspect of the world drew nearly everyone into it. Earthbound. Great games with a great soundtrack, beautiful scenes and great characters, and the main theme is all about being away from home, and it's beautiful to see Ness return to his home at the end of the game. Simply God of War. Team Fortress 2. On the outside it just looks like a shitty shooter. But while it isn't perfect, it's far from horrible. It is a game unlike any other, and the fact it's still around today, 5 years later, shows that Valve made that game right. And here's the thing, it's a shooter, it can be taken seriously, but there is so much silliness that can happen with taunts, cosmetics, which there are lots and lots of, and even the hundreds of custom weapons that allow for completely ridiculous playstyles that can work too. And the characters have so much to them, especially considering they started as stereotypes. And it's free. Try it. Nier Automata. GTA San Andreas, the best of all the Grand Theft Auto franchise. I hope Rockstar remakes it. Darkest Dungeon. Great visuals, great atmosphere, really interesting lore, and of course the narrator, Wayne June. Need for Speed Most Wanted 2005 version. One of the best racing games I've ever played. None of the new ones even come close to being that good. BioShock. Simply amazing. Anthem. It's a steaming pile of shit, and that's modern art in a nutshell. All video games are a piece of art. Good or bad, it is still art. Morrowind, the richest, most brilliant lore in the history of the franchise. Hundreds of quests loaded with detail, hundreds of in-game books filled with thousands of hours of lore and detail. Fucking mind-boggling metaphysics. Awesome terrain, detail, different environments all on one fucking huge island. Life is Strange and Detroit Become Human. Life is Strange is a piece of art, and I just loved how I felt as if I could really connect with the characters and fall in love with them. Detroit Become Human was a masterpiece and one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. The Witcher 3, Wild Hunt. I'm surprised that the game is not mentioned. Most of them, but Hollow Knight specifically is probably one of the best examples of pure artistic passion put into every single possible aspect of a game. Titanfall 2 Campaign. Valley, kind of. It has a nice art style, a good soundtrack, and it has an interesting story, with an ending you wouldn't have expected. Beyond Good and Evil. Deep, philosophical, great music, lovely characters, the world is just beautiful in every aspect when it comes to its unique flora and fauna. I hope that they won't fuck up the sequel. Journey comes to mind, the smooth artwork, storytelling through environments and music alone. I think it was a great experience. The BioShock series. Planescape, Torment, Emo, one of the most well-written game ever. Kingdom Hearts 3. Terrible plot and assballs aside, it's a visual marvel in my eyes. Portal 2. The entire game is brilliant, but even just for the voice acting alone. J.K. Simmons as Cabe Johnson? I'm sold. FF7. Oblivion. The whole Zelda franchise. I define art as something that makes me feel, and a game as interactive media. So by that definition I have to go with This War of Mine can be pretty depressing. The music is perfect and the gameplay enjoyable, even though you have to make hard decisions sometimes. Lisa, despite the goofy first impression, this game deals with heavy themes and has great integration of story problems to gameplay problems. And it's funny as hell at times. What Remains of Edith Finch, very much interactive media, but it sure tells a story beautifully and shows how narrative can profit from gameplay. Undertale, it's funny, it has great moments and the music is awesome. It took a while to catch me, but when it had me I loved it. The Beginner's Guide, also interactive media, interesting story and design decisions. Little Inferno, seems simple, but it's fun, has a message and it's by goddamn Kyle Gabler. Papers, Please, Subnautica. A fun view into government corruption, no explanation needed. Nier so far from my hipster immersive gamer soundtrack, bliss. Nice ass, masterpiece of a story. Super Mario Bros. 2 Baby. Breath of the Wild. I spent so much time in the game just exploring and looking at all the scenery. 100% a work of art. Ori and the Blind Forest. One of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Mario Odyssey, the graphics, the sound, the controls. It's all art. The whole Splatoon franchise. It's salty, but cool. And it involves art. The Long Dark. There are times playing that where I just stop and look at the in-game sunrise even though I should be looking for a shelter or food. Kentucky Route Zero. It's just the way the plot and the setting play off each other so well. And the visual style was unlike anything else I've played before. Braid. A Mac-only platformer plus puzzle game allowing rewinding and manipulating time. The puzzles get mind-bending as they start requiring manipulation of the flow of time. The artwork is gorgeous. The music is beautiful and a perfect backdrop to the game. The story is poignant and deep. And there's a third level of puzzles, collecting the stars, which takes the game to a whole new level. It is a work of love and one of the few games I'd put in a gallery. It is truly a masterpiece. Edit, apparently now on platforms, and on PC. Here's the trailer, https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=49TJYZFCA Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. Best sound design in any game I've ever played. Planescape, Torment. Most beautiful game of my lifetime. Stardew Valley is crazy impressive given that one person created the entire thing. The music, coding, art, story, mechanics, all one guy. Transistor, Ruiner, Bastion, Red Dead Redemption, Ion 2, Life is Strange, First Season, etc. Half-Life 2 did everything the original did, but better. IMHO, I think that Half-Life 2 is the peak of FPS games. Halo 1-3, Reach, ODST. Oh, and also What Remains of Edith Finch. Journey's beautiful. More of an artistic piece than a game at points. Metal Gear Solid. Bloodborne a million times over. The artwork is just incredible, and it still is super up to par today. Its environment is just fantastic, and it feels so lived in. It's somber, and has the mood of the game so perfect. You can really see the amount of death and decay all around, having thousands of coffins chained up, superstition filling the streets and empty baby carriages. Every area has its own feel, but stays melancholic and perfect. The music also, they had a proper orchestra make everything and you just feel it. Especially in the boss fights. And #X200B. If you guys haven't played Bloodborne, I would highly recommend it.